Donkey Kong needs no introduction, why would he? Harambe didn't get closer, so it evens out. In 1981, arcades were graced by one of the first platforming games ever to be conceived. A far cry from the mazes and shooters from yesteryear. It was also the first game that Mr. Miyamoto directed himself. Nice. It was a huge success, which netted him ports on almost every machine imaginable, sequels, clones, a cereal brand, and a cartoon slot on Saturday Supercade. How was it? It's alright.
Take a look at this, Pauline.
Jumpman's first romp and my first judgment. I'll try not to get too political. The game starts with Donkey Kong carrying away our prized girlfriend, Pauline, up a construction site, and it's your job to get her back. When this was being developed, an emphasis on personality in the sprite work was initiated and calling for all the characters to move differently. Already this feels oddly cinematic for an early video game. Playing the game feels pretty responsive for what it was trying to do. Again, considering that this was probably the first platformer. It's tight, every move has a purpose and you're gonna get it. The first level consists of Donkey Kong hulking barrels, causing them to roll down the site. You have to evade yourself by climbing ladders, jumping over obstacles, and paying attention. Barrels can suddenly take a trip down a ladder without any warning, even the ones that are broken. So if you end up breaking your face, don't say I didn't warn you. DK also throws these glowing blue barrels, which, when collide with a gas tank at the bottom, will burst into a fire enemy with eyeballs. Luckily, Mario isn't without tools. Scattered around the course are hammers, and when you pick it up, you become an almighty forger of death, killing anything in your path. As long as you line it up correctly. Son of a bitch. Also, considering that the hammer is as big as you, jumping or climbing isn't an option either. Once you climb to the top, you meet with Romance Inevitable, but then DK calls your bluff and takes her higher. Okay, before I move on, I want to address a caveat. In order to play every stage, you first have to play multiple runs of smaller adventures. Then more and more content unlocks at your disposal. This makes it a bit difficult to see everything because alongside that, the levels you already played more times than I can count will become harder with more tricky barrel AI, I guess. Next stage chronologically is the cement factory. Although we're not strangers to calling them pies because why would cement be packaged like this? Conveyor belts will switch at random, more flames come alive to seek you out, and on top of all that, literally, the ladders move. Up next is the elevator stage. The most notable factor about this one is the trampolines. They come bouncing from out of nowhere at about Mach 5 and falling down the gap in the floor. You know, as evident by the goofy sound effects and lack of music. 100 meters up and you reach the final showdown between man and ape. Here you have to avoid ghosts? I don't know, they have the same color palette as the fireballs, but why wouldn't they just reuse them again if that was the point? Separating the girders are supports you have to take out, which will eventually cause the structural integrity to collapse, leaving DK to fall from grace. Then Mario reunites with Pauline, and they immediately break up 2 hours later. Well, they weren't afraid to push this brand new genre to the limits. It's still an arcade game, and it still wants your money. I kid you not, I was playing this game for hours, off and on, just so I can get some footage that wasn't just me dying over and over again. This is hard. I guess it more so psychs me out rather than actually being really hard, but for someone like me, it's interchangeable. I was still heated. I didn't even beat the final stage on my last run. There's just so much going on that my brain mushes it all together, and the recipe is a bad time. These fire enemies travel slow up these ladders, but coming down, like, calm down, I'm not the father. He is. Also, it's worth noting the sound quality of this specific game. Everything sounds a bit muffled. To compare, listen to some Pac-Man for a second. Now Donkey Kong. I think this sacrifice was made so more content could be put in, but it gives this game a unique charm. It's cool. All in all, Donkey Kong gave players at the time an invigorating new experience. And the fact that you play as a human doing human tasks involving human labor probably made kids relate to Mario more than, you know, a yellow pizza or the X-Wing from A New Hope. It's a classic for a reason, and it holds its title. 2 years later, Nintendo made the Famicom, and as a task to see its true power as a home console, they would port over some arcade classics of theirs. Donkey Kong was its launch title. This port is also where we get this theme. However, first impressions aren't too solid. The opening sequence is missing. There's no fanfare, it just starts. Honestly, this version makes sacrifices in tons of ways. Blue barrels don't exist, so you can't anticipate a fire enemy. Mario's hammer looks more like a reflex tool that your doctor uses on your leg. Also, it doesn't flash when the usage is nearly over, so you'd have a worse time anticipating when it'll wear out. And the entire cement factory stage is missing. What? How? If this port was to show what the Famicom could do, it didn't really succeed too well. Also, the game is way easier compared to the original. Barrels travel down ladders at a much slower rate, and it seems that most of the random elements have been nerfed drastically. It doesn't really get hard until you play multiple cycles, but even then, all of the stages play in order this time, so by the time you get there, you're already bored. Most of the music and sounds are also in the wrong key. And they even fumbled and played the da-da-da in the wrong spot entirely. They programmed it to play before the Pauline jingle. But when the port gets something right, it's spot on. And at least this port is culturally appropriate, having Mario and Pauline being 6 feet apart from each other. At the same time, Donkey Kong was ported to Nintendo's Game & Watch series. For the sake of convenience, I'm gonna be playing the second Game & Watch gallery released on Game Boy. Because MAME is so complicated to set up. And okay, so extra girders have been placed overhead so you can't jump in every spot. Alright. The game was originally set on 2 screens, so to suffice for that, they made the top and bottom screens manually swappable. Yeah, that isn't the game automatically doing it. I'm pressing the B button to do that. Instead of simply reaching the top, you have to flip a switch, quickly grab onto a hook, and cut one of the supports that DK's platform is strapped to. Pretty okay premise, although the execution in this version specifically might be flawed. I think in the original Game & Watch release, you could spam a direction to go faster, but in this, your speed is capped out. You can't go any faster than this. Which is annoying, because sometimes due to the pattern that barrels fall, I'll be forced to jump in the same spot over and over and over again. Because, as a reminder, they place girders in spots that don't allow you to jump. And most of my deaths were a result of the fact that you have to switch the screens on your own, so I focused my attention on doing that and suddenly, blam! Concussion, amnesia, life support, unplugged. Takes away a lot of the freedom that the original game had. Until I can play the true Game & Watch version, I'm firm on saying that this port kinda stinks. I don't like it. Okay, now, I know in the intro video I said that for this series, I have to be able to play as Mario, but I would be kind of stupid if I didn't talk about Donkey Kong Jr., right? Right. Just this once. Taking place directly after Donkey Kong 1, Mario captures DK and takes him away back to the circus. And suddenly, warping through time, space, and logic, Donkey Kong's son appears! The same principle is at stake. Save your papa and defeat the enemy. You climb on vines, jump on springs, and avoid Mario's man-made weapons. I guess he was a carpenter. And eventually, you get to his keep, where you also have to dodge birds and unlock DK's cage. Now, why did I skip over the majority of the levels? Because this game is impossible, that's why. Now, mayhaps my patience got the best of me, but I could not beat the second stage. That's all I wanted, but nope, I just couldn't. I had monkeypox. So here, watch a clip of the ending. And that's it for all the official versions of Donkey Kong. I even threw in a little bonus sideshow just for the heck of it. For an opening act, not bad. Very good, in fact. But how will Mario's next adventure compare? I suppose we should check that out. See ya.